a minute and a half into this story, and the camera ran out of juice. Well, the memory was full. Anyway, so what we're going to do, here's another story. This is a good one, actually, and it's very humiliating for me, so it'll probably be extra funny for a lot of people. So if you're not a big fan of Bonzoleum, this is one you can definitely be like, ha ha. So 1989-ish, I had a friend. Well, I had a lot of friends back in those days. I still have some friends now. You know, you got to be friendly. But he used to have these parties. He ended up owning a tavern, God love him. His name rhymes with Mo, so we'll just call him Mo. Great guy. Is at Christmas time, he and his family used to invite like certain friends of theirs over for like Italian. Being Italian, they made a lot of fish and a lot of food for Christmas Eve and stuff. Super guy. Anyway, he'd have parties. Folks would be out of town doing something, and Mo would get a half barrel. I don't know what kids do today, but we were young. Well, actually, honestly, at that time, I guess I was 20. So we were pretty much legal. College era. So we have a half barrel there, right? At one point, there's a jillion people there. Mo knew everybody in town. So there were billions of people there. And I remember I was wearing, at one point, a couple years before that, some of my friends allowed me to be on their softball team because I'm horrible at softball. And the name of the team was Condom Sense. So it was like a classic 1920s, 1930s looking jersey that had blue stripes. And with this really cool stitching, it said Condom and then Sense. You know, another friend of mine, super good guy, worked at a really nice haberdashery and convinced the owner of the haberdashery to sponsor us till he saw the fucking jersey. And then he was like, so we had to cover up the haberdashery, you know, the men's clothier name, which was like very, you know, hoity-toity from where I came from. We had to cover it out, so we got these big old-style patches. So we put it right over the logo, which was kind of cool. So this summer of 1989, we're getting all busted up all the time, having classic American suburban fun, and Condom Sense jersey, which, God, was kind of funny. I don't know what I ever did with it. So we're there, right? Where Mo lived was sort of right across the border into Chicago proper from a suburb. So the neighborhood had been changed in a couple of years. It was just kind of a tougher, rougher neighborhood, you know? So tons of people there, but then as the night starts to die down, you know, people go home or whatever, but then the diehards are all hanging out, you know, and I'm one of them. We're finishing the barrel, you know? And a couple chicks, couple girls, you know, and of course some of the guys are starting to do their best. If the girl's not, you know, maybe there'll be a hookup kind of thing, so guys are starting to, like, maneuver each other. I'm standing right by the hat barrel, like, so, which a lot of my friends can attest to. Anyway, so what happens is we're there, it's getting kind of late, and I remember a couple dudes coming down the alley. Mo lived, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. The alley was sort of up on a hill a little bit. Not that really makes a difference, but it will maybe later in the story. So we're there, and a couple kind of mean-looking dudes walk by. You know, and I really didn't pay a lot of attention to them. I'm talking to some buddies, and out in the alley are like 2 or 3 guys, and a really cute, the suburb I came from had a lot of really cute girls. I mean, it was like a hot chick factory, okay? So a couple of them are kind of out there rapping with the dudes, and, you know, great girls, seriously great girls, real pretty. And I remember one of the guys, well, now we'll call them bad guys, because was kind of like, hey, you know what time it is or whatever, and they gave him the time, and so the dudes walk past, and another couple minutes goes by, and they come back. Well, sometimes bad guys will do that. Like, obviously, if you're out and about, a word of caution, sometimes if a guy's like, hey, you know what time it is, or you got a cigarette, you know, usually they're sizing you up. They're kind of getting the lay of the land before they knock your teeth out or take your purse or whatever. So, they come back. And next thing you know, I actually went, and this is true, I know a lot of my friends don't believe it, but I have to maintain it. I've told this story so many times, but it really is true. I had to take a leak. I take 100 leaks a day. I'm always consuming beverages. You know what I mean? I went over and I think I just started taking the leak, and suddenly I heard, well, that guy just took my purse. Just like that. Kind of like, that guy just took my purse. I hear that, and I look, and I see a couple guys like, hey, whatever. So me and a couple of my buddies, a super big guy, tall guy, God love him, friend of mine from the old days. Not real beefy. I mean, he played basketball, but, you know, you're not a real tough guy, but a brave guy, right? And another dude, a friend of ours from the neighborhood, littler guy, I mean, small little guy, played soccer, probably a scrapper, but, you know, a little skinny guy. And we kind of, all three of us sort of look at each other. We're like, you know, let's get him. So, of course, all the guys we leave behind at the party are like bigger football playery guys. Smart, apparently. Smarter than we were. So we're like, yeah, let's get him. So, we drop what we're doing. We just start running after these guys. And we got to get the purse. It was sort of like, what the fuck, So we go running after them. And I remember one of the fellas, the shorter, sinewy dude, and then the taller, skinnier dude, chased him straight into the bushes where they went. Again, what happened was the house was sort of up on, there's a ridge that kind of runs through the suburbs, some suburbs of Chicago, very small, left over from the, one of the ice ages. Some ridge thingy, might even be a micro-continental divide. Anyway, the garage was sort of up on it. So where they were running, they were kind of running slightly uphill a little. And where they ran into was really wooded. Like we're an alley, like a garage here, but then all bushes-y, because there wasn't really truly an alley in there, but it was like a space for an alley. So both the dudes disappear in there, and my two guys go running right after them. God love them. But me, I said in the other video, I used to love to get into trouble as a kid. You kind of think like a bad guy, right? Because I've done, I was kind of a bad guy sometimes when I was a kid. So I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I know where they're going. I'm like, well, you could just kind of tell it sort of steered its way to the east, off to the right. So I went booking down the street, kind of down a little hill, and then ran around one of these classic Chicago apartment buildings, like yellow brick, you know what I mean? And I come booking around the corner, kind of cockily, like, hey, what's going on? A little of this. And I don't see anything. So I keep walking, I kind of walk, then one of the lawns still a little bit on the hill. I kind of walk up on a little hill. And behind a bush, right by a classic sort of, one of the Chicago sort of low ranchy bungalow type things, suddenly, it was like right out of Monty Python. It was. Remember Meaning of Life where the head's like that? Well, I'm kind of walking, looking, and behind a bush I see, and you know what I mean? Actually, to be honest, there wasn't a go down. It was, and he just looked at me. So there was one of the guys. Now, I had said later, when I tell the story, I say the guys are huge. For me, the guys were pretty huge, because I was probably well, I guess I was as tall as I am now, but I was probably, honestly, about 135 pounds. I mean, I was a skinny dude, I still have little teeny skinny legs. And, so I see him, you know what I mean? And he sees me. And he stands up. So the guy's probably like, I'm not going to lie and say he was like 6'6", but he was a good 6'2" or 3. Okay? Probably a $180 or a $190. Like a basketball player looking guy. Maybe 20. Okay? So I guess I'm 20. Maybe 20, maybe a little older. So he's one of them. And if I remember, the bigger of the two. So he stands up, and I kind of look at him, and I say, and I'm busted up. And I said to him, I said, hey man, I said, listen, I said, whatever money was, I figured there'd probably be like $30 in there. I said, take the money, just leave the ID in the bag. You know what I mean? I mean, at the time I realized I wasn't gonna fight the guy. You know what I mean? So, but I said, just leave that, get out of here. So he starts to walk, sort of, so I'm walking this way, like this, and he's kind of cutting across this way. And I take my eyes off him, because I'm walking to the bush, because I figure behind the bush is the purse sort of open with, like gum over here and cigarettes over, that kind of shit. Thought I'd scoop it all in the bag and, walk back like, got the purse, everybody, hey? You know what I'm saying? But the following happened. As I'm, walking, as my sister says, the big boy, like, as I'm walking to get what I think is the purse, I noticed like a little movement, like a flicker out of the right portion here. Let's say you're where it is, I'm like this. And I saw whatever it was. And then I was like I turned to look, to which like right out of Three Stooges, out of a Three Stooges, 3D Three Stooges, if you remember those from the 50s, I really did see this. Except it was coming a lot faster than that. So as soon as I turned, I'm not really even sure. He hit me, I think, right like this, okay? Boom! And it's funny. I've actually been punched. We used to fight when we were kids. I was never a tough guy, but let's just say I've been beaten up a few times before. It's never, when you're getting your ass kicked, it's never as bad because your adrenaline's flowing. You really kind of don't feel it. It's really more like a jarring, just like a movement when you're kind of like, oh, what the fuck, It didn't really hurt, but kind of like, somebody just sort of smacked you, like, damn. So, I stand there, I remember being like, oh, like I just sort of froze. I froze. And I just went like this. At that point, I think the only song that was going through my head was this. Da, 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 da. Really, I remember thinking, like, even after it was kind of like, oh, fuck, this, really, pardon my French, but this could be bad. So I remember I stood there, and I could feel blood, I could feel warm, it felt like warm water, not out of but I just felt it, like something dripping. And of course, it was blood. So this dude, honest to God, I've told the story 1,000 times, he must have been, I would guess, maybe 3 or 4 feet from me, because what he did, as soon as I took my eyes off him, he lunged at me, like gave me like one of those, And I saw, I don't know, God, if you'd hit me on the side of the head, I don't know what the hell would have happened. But anyway, so I turned into it. And he hit me so hard that he actually fell. Now, he didn't fall, but, he fell forward, like on all fours. Because he was far away, and he stumbled, probably because of the little hill, too, or kind of. And he fell in the grass. And I remember sort of standing and seeing him, like, kind of like doggies, like on all fours right there. And kind of thinking, like, again, the funeral march went through my freaking head. Okay? But then suddenly, I'm standing there like this, right, bleeding. And then, suddenly I feel here, I got my pants hanging down, a hand, he's like this, he's trying to get my wallet. This is true. So what I did is I took one of my hands, and his arm was grabbing it, and I grabbed his wrist, and to push it away. Like, just try to just get him away. But what happened was the jeans I was wearing were like those acid wash late 80s jeans. They weren't even acid wash. They were Levi's I'd had forever that had holes in them. And the jeans ripped straight. I don't remember if it was straight down the seam or but literally ripped. So the back pocket pulled the pant here through my right buttock. And then this whole thing went down, exposing my chicken loaf leg. And the wallet fell out, to which the dude sicko was like, yeah! He picked this thing up, looked right at me like, yeah! We started running down north on the block, like, woo! Like a total victory cheer. And I could hear other dudes in the park. There was a park up there, like, yeah! So I'm standing there. My pants are sort of laying in the grass. Half my pants, there's blood all over me. And to be totally honest, I always have to tell this in the story because it's true. I totally wet my pants. My bladder full of urine. Even if I didn't have a bladder full of urine, I might have wet my pants. But since I had to go to the bathroom, the front of we're sopping wet with piss, So I'm bleeding, I got piss all over me, and I'm still standing in the grass, like, oh my God. So I kind of turn around, and at this point, I don't care what happens. They could have come up behind me and killed me for all I cared. I'm really thinking, like, when I get back to the party, I thought this at the time, I'm going to be so embarrassed. I'm sure at one point people were like, you're brave for going out. But I realized that, it's going to look like I pissed in my pants, but you got to bite the bullet, so I got to go back to the party and for help, or at least report what the hell happened. So then, of course, as I'm walking up the street, here comes this girl. She's coming up, oh my God, Terry, are you okay, And I see the other two guys that were, they're like, everyone's kind of like at first, like, are you okay, Jesus, and the cops come. And at one point, I'm sitting in the back seat of the cop car, Chicago cop car. Girl sitting next to me, real cute, smells all nice, and I reek of copper and stinky urine and beer and anything else. And he's in the front seat, and it's a day in the life for this guy. He's like, yeah, okay, how tall were the perpetrators? I'm like, yeah, okay, and what happened? So, all right, so we hit you, and okay, this kind of, like, total, like, assembly line, let's just get through this kind of thing. Meanwhile, the girl is next to me, she's got kind of holding my arm, she's like, Terry, you're so brave. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I can think of a way to repay the favor, But anyway, so then my Condom Sense jersey was ruined. I think that's where it went. I think I pitched it because they didn't have Zout or Shout back then. Do you know what I'm saying? Go back to the party. Actually, I think I stayed there for another hour drinking, to tell you the God's honest truth. And that's the story. So that actually happened. So to this day, I've been out and about, and I've seen people out there I kind of remember from high school, and I'm like, yeah, Terry Keating. And they're like, are you the dude that got punched in the face and, like, pissed in his pants? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Oh, and I do remember one other thing. when I got hit, this was bizarre. I didn't go to the doctor, but I assumed there's cartilage here, right? I would imagine. What happened after I was socked, this cartilage, for a period of time until it healed, became loose. Like I actually, and it hurt like hell, but I literally could like move this, I think like pretty far. My nose got kind of rubbery. My rose got nubbery. But I do remember that every time I sneezed, it was agony. I remember when I felt the sneeze coming on, it was kind of like, please, Lord, no. Do you know what I mean? So that happened. Oh, and I do know, I honestly kind of do, I think, remember a song, MILLI VANILLI. I think that song was out, because I remember getting a ride home that night, I think, maybe from like a guy that lived down by us. I remember he was, you know, we're in the car, and I remember I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, well, you know, hopefully I'll be okay or whatever. And I remember the song came on the radio. You know, to be honest, I might be fudging this from a different night, but let's just keeps the story cohesive. Anyway, I remember this dude like, all right, Terry, I'll drop you off, buddy. And you know, it looked like we're in a Led Zeppelin or a Who-mobile, you know what I mean? Dude'sicle turns the radio on, and playing on the radio is, what is it? Hang on a second. Hang on. Hey, I'll do it in a minute. On the radio is MILLI VANILLI, Girl, You Know It's True. Girl, you know it's true. And I remember dude, look, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, have you heard this? And he wasn't putting me on. I mean, you know, nothing against MILLI VANILLI, but it was, I guess he had to be there. So, hang on. Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. No, it's not that. Anyway, thanks for listening to that story. That is a true story. 1989, I'm fairly certain. Keep watching the videos. I'm actually working on a couple new tunes. I'm going to put together some more songs. I do have a record. I do have an album called Terry Keating Greatest Hits, which is stuff I totally wrote myself and played everything except the guitars and keyboards. Well, I should say then what I did was, was the drums and the vocals, okay? Actually, it doesn't sound bad. Maybe you should buy it, Terry Keating Greatest Hits. But I'm putting together some new tunes with some dudes, and they're going to be rocking. I mean, that was really more sort of just to get sort of pop out. These hopefully will be rocking. But thanks for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Happy, if I don't have another video out by Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving.